All right, let's go ahead and get started here. So once again, I do want to welcome everyone to today's webinar, Don't Leave Money on the Table, Use Video. My name is Raul Montez. I'm a content marketing manager here at Zoom, located at our headquarters in downtown San Jose, California. I'll be working in the background, so if you have any Zoom-related questions, go ahead and shoot those in through the Q&A. And of course, if you have any questions in general for our speakers today, make sure you send those in through the Q&A panel. So if you click on that Q&A icon, you'll notice the panel pops up on your screen. You can type in your question in the space provided. Click on that send button. We'll be able to see that here on our end, trying to answer as many questions as possible. You can also submit your questions anonymously as well. We're also going to be recording today's webinar, so we'll make sure to send out a follow-up email with a link to the recording, so be on the lookout for that. We'll also provide you with some contact information for our presenters today. Having said that, what I am going to do is pass it over to our host and moderator, Viveka von Rosen, to kick things off. So Viveka, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Raul. So once again, welcome to today's webinar, Don't Leave Money on the Table, Use Video. I'm Viveka von Rosen. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm a co-founder and the CVO, which is Chief Visibility Officer of Vengreso. I'm a total video nerd, self-proclaimed LinkedIn expert, and Hank Letter pilot. And I am like a huge fan and user of both OneMob and Zoom. So I am just super stoked to be moderating with these amazing people. And also check out those cool backgrounds. Like, I've been using Zoom for about 2 years and I didn't even know you could do those cool backgrounds that Greg and Mario have up. So awesome. So today, my special guests are Greg Holmes. He's the head of sales for Zoom Video Communications for the last 4.5 years. And if you told him 5 years ago that he would be spending 5 hours a day or more on video, he would have thought you were crazy. And yet, here he is today. We've got Mario Martinez, who's our CEO and the founder of Vengreso. When he's not working, he is still doing what he loves, which is, go figure, talking to other people. He's passionate about the sales industry, spends his entire career in sales from being a rep to VP of sales and now CEO of a digital transformation company. And then we have Sati, in no particular order, I just want to say. Sati Hillier is a former Salesforce exec and currently the founder and CEO of OneMob. Guys, if you don't know, you know Zoom because you're like on the platform right now. If you don't know OneMob, oh my God, it is just amazing. And when he's not making video, he enjoys time with his wife, his 2 kids. Ew, and life as a vegan, dude. So, I don't know.
Don't knock it.
Don't knock it. Well, and who's the healthier looking one here? Okay, so good point. So we are going to cover a lot of questions today. As Raul said, you can ask questions in the Q&A. I'm going to moderate that. If it seems there's a natural time to insert a question, I will absolutely do that. Otherwise, we'll have Q&A at the end as well. And so if you guys are ready, we're going to get started. We've got about 35 minutes here of prime Q&A time. Like I said, if I see some good questions, I'll just pop them in there. Panelists, if you could keep your answers to 2 minutes or less, Mario, if you can keep your answers to 2 minutes or less, we'll be good to go.
That's just brutal, Viveka.
I know him. So let's get started. Okay, and I'll just ask, I'll direct the questions so you don't have to all jump in. First question, why aren't buyers responding to a rep's cold outreach email messages anymore? And Sati, you go ahead and answer that first if you would.
Yeah, thanks. And again, thanks again for inviting me to this. And I'm really excited to talk to everyone about video. You know, for OneMob, we've always just been on this mission since day one about video is transcending businesses. And you know, when I was spending time at Salesforce, I spent a lot of time really seeing how consumer trends are affecting the enterprise. And that's what we continue to see more of. And I think what's important for people to think about is, you know, whether your team are made up of millennials or whether your buyers are more traditional buyers, the fact is this is how people communicate. And if we can't speak the language of our audience, it's really difficult to build trust, to build a rapport, and ultimately move the deal forward. And so for us, phone and email aren't going away. But the reality is videos become that third pillar that you can't ignore. And so for OneMob, we just want to make it easy. And, you know, there's a lot of stats we can jump into, but, you know, just to kind of round out what I'm saying here, if you use video, your audience and your buyers will connect with you in ways that you've never done before. And I think that's why it's so important to really, leverage this technology while it's so prime.
Yeah, absolutely. Mario, do you have an answer for us?
Well, since Sati only took a minute, I get to take his minute for my,
No.
my 2 minutes, and that makes 3. Yeah, no, actually, we do have some good information here. Thanks for introducing me, Viveka. Excited to be here with everyone as well. And coming from the digital sales transformation side and having help with organizations like OneMob and being a user of Zoom, we train sales organizations all about the use of social video and how to actually use that to solicit responses to sales, to your buyers, excuse me. And there's actually a training deck that we have that we go through, and there's really 5 reasons why buyers are not responding to salespeople that we think of when it comes to this world of video. I'm going to touch on just a couple of them. And the first one I want to touch on is you aren't building trust from the first hello. And let me just take a step back here, and we'll run through some stats. I know we've got some stats that we'll talk about later on throughout the show here. But one of the reasons why platforms like Zoom, which is the leader in video technology for collaboration meetings, is so important and so essential to the sales process, is because the very first time that you get on a call with a customer, it should be through video. And why do we know that? Well, there's actually a science that goes behind the use of video, and literally seeing someone's face, which is why we are on video today, not using death by PowerPoint. Seeing someone's face, their facial reactions, their expressions, their hand movements, all of those things scientifically proven to showcase and begin the development process of building trust. And that is why the platform Zoom is such a powerful platform, and why we encourage reps to use it every single time, even if your buyers are not have video on. The other thing is that you aren't engaging. I mentioned there was 5. I'm going to give you 2 reasons. You aren't engaging your buyers the way they want to engage. Now, let me just stop for a second, Viveka, and ask everybody here on, you can answer this yourself, or you can tease it out through the Q&A. But if you were to think about all the things that you stop on your social media feed, the 2 things that you stop at is, number 1, pictures, and number 2, videos.
Yeah.
And why is that? Because people actually will be more engaged with a video because they're seeing the human face, they're interacting with somebody. So buyers want to engage that way, and just think of yourself and your own personal habits in terms of the way you are engaging with content today, and it is definitely through video.
Absolutely. Actually, and there's a question here, and I think it rolls right in. So this one's for Greg. Knowing that you know something about Zoom, the question is, do you have any suggestions for a live video of a workshop? This person will have a small group in a room, slides, and some people joining remotely. And here's the key. They want people who are joining remotely to feel as if they were part of a group. So, and I think this speaks to what Mario was saying. It is that absolute engagement and the fact that we can have this virtual and live interaction. So Greg, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. Thank you, Viveka, and pleasure having you host. And
thank you.
Honor to be with rock stars like Sati and Mario, even though they are vegan and talk too much. Really, I look past that. But no, that's a great question. I think if you're in a room-based setting, I mean, where I see the best combination is if you can set up with 2 monitors in that room. With Zoom, we allow you to have on one monitor your content showing. So in this case, if you're showing slides, but on the second monitor, you always keep that either active speaker switch of video, or you can go gallery view. I like the gallery view because I think then you have that intimate connection with all the people that are in that meeting. You see them at all times, and even when they speak, they get highlighted. So that's not hard to figure out. But I think that's the right combination. We have a solution called Zoom Rooms, and that allows you to enable that interaction. Again, still have an eye on content, but get that connection over video all throughout the meeting versus it popping up or popping off when you're trying to share content or not. I think it keeps it consistent throughout.
That's perfect. And actually, that's a perfect lead into the next question, which is how can sales reps set themselves apart in a virtualized meeting environment when meeting with buyers? And I'm going to add one of the questions to that. How do you get those cool backgrounds? And Greg, go ahead and answer that if you would.
Okay, you want me to hit the second one or the first one?
Go with the second one. That's easy. And then go with the first one.
Perfect. Yeah, the cool backgrounds are easy. You need to have some kind of a solid background. Green is the best. Blue works. Really, any solid color can adjust, but ultimately, if you use green, you're going to have the best results. But once you have some kind of a solid background, you can enable virtual background, and then all you're doing is uploading images into Zoom in the Zoom meeting, and you change them on the fly, as Mario's doing, I'm doing. Just again, a lot of our sales team brings in the customer's logo. That's kind of fun, but you can be anywhere, anytime. It's a fun way and a great way to break ice as you have your meetings. So it's really easy to do. Just uploading as many images you want. You can just Google search them, upload them right to Zoom, and you can do that on the fly in a meeting. So it's pretty easy. If you go to our support.zoom.us, just put in virtual background. It'll give you all the ins and outs of how to do that.
And that really, I mean, that answers the question a little bit too, that is one way you can really set yourself apart, pulling in your client's logo. That's a really cool idea. Any other ideas around that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think using video and how that sets you apart. I think about there was a study that came out from Intercall a few years ago. It was around a survey around what are people actually doing on audio only calls. Now, believe it or not, a lot of people still do audio only calls. Even a web conference without video, I think similar results. But over 60% responded that they're either doing other work or sending emails. The answers ranged down to being on another call while they're on that call, or going to the bathroom, all Leslie Nielsen and Naked Gun. So, I mean, I think with those results, essentially, if you're doing audio only or maybe webcam without video, I think you're meeting with half the person, right? And so all of a sudden you turn on video, I'm eye to eye, I'm meeting with the whole person. And how does that not set you apart, right? To create that engagement, that human touch and interaction that you just don't get from those other modes.
Yeah, exactly. Mario, can you take this real life and give us an example of how you've used Zoom? And we are going to get to you, Sati, because like I said, OneMob is awesome. But Mario, can you just talk a little bit about how you've used Zoom to really engage with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, we've got a real life example that I shared with the team earlier. And, what's interesting is one of our digital selling techniques and best practices that we teach reps is actually to leverage video in all phases of the sales cycle as part of your prospecting and outreach, all the way through client close and client delivery, right? And that's where the two platforms like OneMob and Zoom come together and really complement each other very well, along with, our techniques that we train in how to utilize this video. But what was interesting is I opened up a call. It was our second call with a very, very large Fortune 100 client of ours. And she didn't know when she joined the Zoom meeting that it would automatically have the camera turned on. And so when she joined, she was in her jammies. She had her hair pulled up. She didn't have her makeup or anything like that done. And it was like midday. So as soon as she came on, I was like, "Hey, so-and-so." And so she looked at the camera and she saw me and she saw herself and she was like, "Oh my God, oh my God." And so she turned off the camera and I was like, no, hold on a second. You already came on video. I already saw what you look like. Let's talk live. And she was like, "No, I can't do it." I was like, "No, you can do it. No worries." And I was like, "Look, if you want me to take my shirt off, I'll take my shirt off." Right. And so it made her laugh. She turned the video back on. And what was interesting is that discussion, even though she turned it back on and she was like, "I can't believe you're making me turn the video back on." I was like, "Look, I already saw you. What's the big deal?" We had a fabulous meeting. And interestingly enough, at the end of that meeting, she actually, at the end of when we signed the contract, she ended up saying to me that one of the reasons why she decided to go with us was because of that instance, that it actually forced her to become very comfortable and start building the relationship right from the beginning. And I thought that was insightful and important to share, is that even if you are only on video on one side, or you get your buyer in a natural type of setting where they're not, all put together, it really helps to build that relationship. And our job as salespeople is to, as quickly as possible, remove the professional distance between us and our buyer. And video is the way to be able to do that.
So, I'm going to pop in one of the questions here. Laura Lazo asks, getting prospective clients to agree to even using video in the first place, getting them to get on video, and in the case of also downloading the app. So Greg, do you want to, or all of you, I guess, do you want to speak to how do we get people who are uncomfortable with video in a video conference?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think it's changing every day. People are getting more and more open and used to video. There's ways, frankly, to set up your meeting to where you can have video on for the host, but participants will come in with video off by default. I do all my meetings, everything's on, lights are on, be ready to go. But I mean, obviously we're Zoom, so it's probably different. But if you're not sure, you can start with video off, say for your participants. To Mario's point, I think as the host, you should always have it on, just to get that immediate connection on who you are as a person. We often just ask, there's ways you can ask. I think, hey, I'd love to see you and get to know you better as we start this meeting, start to learn about your business needs. Be great to see you. I mean, there's ways you can ask that are, I think, comfortable ways to try to prompt them to turn their video on. So we'll usually do that in those instances. And like I say, I think we see people doing it more and more. As far as the download the app, if people join this webinar, maybe on Zoom for the first time, I think you can attest, it's click a link. The install takes a few seconds and you're in the meeting. So we really don't see too much issue with that or challenges with people downloading the app and getting to a meeting quickly.
Yeah, I would also add, and it kind of goes to some of the questions I'm seeing is, I think one of the most important things is you want to really kind of help your prospective, buyer understand that video is part of your culture. So for instance, folks who are using OneMob and Zoom, I think there's actually a nice narrative because, for instance, let's say you don't know the buyer and you want to invite them to a meeting.
Right.
You can use OneMob to kind of send them a quick video, introduce yourself, put that face to a name, build trust, which is so, so powerful. And then as a result, when I then jump into my Zoom meeting and I have my video on, that already starts to kind of create that comfort and that trust to then say, okay, well, let's connect now live. And I think, Greg, you're absolutely right. Like, I think it's really important for the person to join the Zoom because you're also probably gonna want to show some stuff. So you can kind of say, hey, make sure you join the Zoom so you can like share some things with you and we can talk live because I'd love to be there face to face. But everyone knows travel restrictions are always an issue. And I think if you can really tell your reps like video is not one point in time, but it's every stage of the journey, then I think it kind of starts to create a more of a practice that you start to see, really effective. And then another question that I see keep coming up around like, should I use video with cold prospects? Well, Forbes did a study, and I don't want to throw too many stats to you, but I think this one's really interesting. Forbes interviewed over 2,000 executives, and they said that 59% of these executives would much rather watch a video than read text when the content is the same. So if you think about what you're trying to pitch, whether it's a service or a product, you really only have a few at-bats, and you really only have 30, maybe 60 seconds of their time. And to make them go through some long, lengthy email, that's really difficult. And as Mario mentioned, you think about what people do in their consumer life. They're in their Facebook feed, their Instagram feed, their LinkedIn feed, all these feeds, and they're constantly looking at pictures and videos. So when they go to their email and they see now a quick video with you and allows them to really digest your value prop in 30 seconds, that really is going to be more effective than just sending that text-based email or just doing that cold call campaign. So I encourage you to, think about video is not one point in the journey, but it's every stage of the journey.
I can't tell you how many times our BDRs use it every day with touching cold prospects. I can't tell you how many times the response is, hey, Joe, I love the video. Like they never say, hey, Joe, I love the text in your email. That was awesome. They don't, but you have a reaction. It happens, fairly often where they get that response and they mention the video first and then they reply to your prompt.
Yeah, and it's like they say, it's really hard to be rude to someone, in person or over the phone. And, it's hard to get people's time on the phone. So if you send them a video, they can watch at their leisure. You don't have to worry about scheduling. And then once they see you, at the least you're going to get a no. And even in sales, getting a no is better than getting nothing. So
exactly
use that as a mind shift because at the end of the day, video, again, is not going anywhere. It's just one of these things you're either using it today or you're going to be following behind your competitors, in the future.
And Viv, there's probably one thing I would say as well. I put it into the chat session really about a best practice in terms of how to get people comfortable with using video, all the things that Sati said and all the things that Greg said, but also too, provide the expectation upfront in your calendar invitations. So when you send out a calendar invitation for a meeting, don't just say conference call. Put it as a video call, a video meeting, so that there's an expectation right up front from the prospect that there's going to be an actual video discussion. And when they join via audio bridge, you can say, hey, by the way, did you see the link included in the calendar invite? Because I'm in the video room right now if you wanted to join that way. And that almost 8 times out of 10, we get people that say, yeah, let me click on the link right now and join in that way as well. And others are just like, I'm out and about. There was one other comment too about my background, and I want to touch on that actually. And I'm purposely letting this green flicker go. This is not a Zoom problem actually, and I want you to see something authentic here. You've got, if you look at Vivica, she's got a regular wall. You've got Sati's got a regular wall, and then you've got Greg who's got the perfect virtual background. Mine is flickering, and I'm actually letting that go right now. And the reason for that, someone commented on it, is actually because it's real and it's authentic. And when you join a meeting with somebody and they look at that boat, they're like, oh my God, where are you at? And then you actually go through and this is a great icebreaker. And you're like, well, I'm actually on my boat right now, but if you want, we can go to the grass. And, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, how did you do that? That's so cool. And so and then you comment on, right now I've got a lot of lighting that's coming in from the back. And so it's messing up the background. Nonetheless, you turn back to green screen and here you go, right? And so it actually is a great icebreaker. And so again, I commented on your job as a salesperson is to remove the professional distance as quickly as possible. And icebreakers are a fantastic way to say, wow, that was really cool. How did you do that? So for Susan, I know you made that comment. That's one of the reasons why I'm actually letting go that screen. And there's an actual strategy to that particular approach.
Yeah, in fact, I did, and I want to come back to Sati in just a second. I did a LinkedIn native video today with some of my favorite tools because as video, so I don't know if all of you know yet, but LinkedIn just released native video. So 508 people actually have it right now where you can shoot video live and it goes right to your timeline. So we're going to get a lot of crap, I'm guessing, in the timeline. So it's very, very important to have the right kind of setup. And video, let's face it, video is so important. You can, with under $100, get great lighting, a green screen pop-up, the right kind of software. So there's not really an excuse anymore. And, I'm at a hospital right now, so I don't have my green screen up. But just playing around with it a little bit, you'll get it working to where it doesn't flicker like disco lights like Mario has. Sati, and I know I'm springing this on you and it's brand new and, I know LinkedIn's API, yikes. Will there be kind of any integration, are you thinking in the future, between LinkedIn's new native video and OneMob? That's one of the questions too.
First of all, this is fantastic, right? Rising tides lifts all ships. And, I think what's amazing here is LinkedIn is really seeing the impact Snapchat, Facebook, and Instagram are having, right? You got these 3 dominant players making video first. LinkedIn, again, even if you look at my LinkedIn feed, a lot of my LinkedIn feed is, pictures and videos. And now what LinkedIn is saying is we need to double down on this. And I think this is great because it just goes to more validation around the effectiveness of video. And for us, LinkedIn is a great, partner. We do a lot with LinkedIn. In fact, there was a question asking about, can you use OneMob in LinkedIn? And you can. You could take a video today from OneMob. You can post it in your LinkedIn feed. The video shows up. You can even direct message, which you normally can't do in LinkedIn because it's text-based. So if you have a first degree connection, I can record a video in OneMob, post it to my direct thread, and have that exchange. Now, with what LinkedIn is doing, I think it's great because that's, again, more for broadcasting, right? If I'm posting a video to my feed, it's more about me really kind of sharing a message to a larger audience. Whereas with OneMob, we also want to not just think about awareness. We want to think about, hey, how do I turn window shopping? I think when I think of LinkedIn, I think it's a great place to window shop and learn about people to then direct buying, right? And so I think what LinkedIn has done with video, it's going to make video more prolific across the platform, which is great. And then with OneMob and our integration to LinkedIn, you can take that browsing experience to like a direct selling experience and say, okay, well now I've connected with Mario. I know what he's into. I'm going to send him a quick video. I can track what Mario's doing. I can see if he sent it to Vivica or other folks in the team. And then from there, I can really have some intelligence around how I want to follow up accordingly. So we love the fact that LinkedIn is double downing on video. And I think it's going to help more and more folks get over that fear, right? Even that first question, or like, what if the buyer isn't comfortable using video? They're just going to become more and more comfortable because it's an expectation.
Yeah. It's practice. I was not at all comfortable on video when I first started, but I do it every day, and so I get more comfortable with it. It really is. It's just practice, and soon you'll be like, whatever. Getting back, like we're way off track, but not really. So getting back to the questions, and Sati, I want you to kind of keep rolling with this, but what can salespeople do to make their prospecting messages stand out more in an inbox? And, obviously OneMob's an option here. And then I want to wrap into, and then whoever wants to answer it can you give us some good subject lines or calls to action to get people to actually click on the video?
Yeah. So let's talk about what people are doing today. So again, most folks spend a lot of time cold calling, and most folks spend a lot of time using email. Phones are great, right? But if you think about the whole experience, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have gotten calls from random people, and it's very, disruptive, and it usually ends up becoming, it usually makes you more defensive than anything else. Yeah. And I think what's really important is the studies don't lie. I think on average, they say 80 to 90% of calls go to voicemail, right? So you're having your reps do a lot of effort. Even with dialers, it's still a lot of time that they're spending trying to make their 60 to 100 calls a day. So one thing that we think is just great is, you can leave a voicemail, but the reality is you don't check voicemails. I don't even think I check my mom's voicemail anymore. I usually just read the text, and if it's important, I'm going to respond. So why would someone spend the time to listen to your voicemail? So we think one use case that makes a lot of sense is don't just leave a voicemail, leave a video message, right? Yep. Everyone's going to be able to watch it. Again, it's more engaging. You can be succinct. You can still say your voicemail script, but now you just say it in person. They can see you, and it's way more engaging. That's one thing with respect to phone. With email is interesting because email is a very, very common form of communication. We use it every day, and it's not going away. But the reality is the numbers don't lie. They say now on average, email click-through rates, not open rates, but click-through rates are usually about 1 to maybe 2%, which is pretty low. So if I email 100 people, maybe 1 or 2 will actually look in my email. Well, The problem is how do I then really tell if it's actually making an impact? And with our platform, we typically see when you put a video in an email about a 30 to 40% click-through rate. So that's, multiple order of magnitudes higher. And it's a numbers game, right? I always recommend, use the platform and A/B test, try it with video, try it without, and see what happens. And in terms of, things like subject line, there's been lots of studies that if you even put the word video in a subject line, you're going to increase your open rates, usually 40 to 50% more. We typically get about anywhere from 50 to 80% open rates because people like watching video. Yeah. Now, what does your subject line need to be? I think you need to get creative there. We use normally things like, hi, Greg, video follow-up. So then he knows it's a video for him, or, video recap. Like I just went to an event last week. So I'll say, great meeting at the event, video recap. And it just keeps that conversation going. It makes video front and center. And then what ends up happening is once they would watch the video, I can get analytics and see, okay, well, actually they watched it, they recorded it. And then the end result, the goal is to get to this, right? To get to that live meeting. And then the great thing is because I've already planted the seed with video so much along the way, it becomes a no-brainer for us to be on Zoom, to have our video on, and really feel comfortable when we're talking.
Yeah. Question to both of you, and some people aren't familiar with OneMob, so Sati, in just a moment, I'm going to have you explain it. But Greg, there are a couple questions about Zoom, and can I embed a Zoom video in an email, or any, can I embed video in an email, and how can I use Zoom, and what are some things that make your messages stand out a little bit more? Greg, if you could answer that.
Yeah, definitely. Technically you could embed a recorded Zoom meeting in an email, but we use OneMob to do Zoom because it's just an easier way to add a thumbnail clip into the email, and then the end user can then easily click and view. One thing I find, and I'm finding with the team, and I don't have studies on this, maybe Sati does, but I think when someone gets an email and they immediately see a thumbnail of a person, all of a sudden that email is humanized, right? It becomes so much harder then to just delete the email because it's just text. I don't know who's behind it. You put a face to it, all of a sudden that email is a little more alive. I think that's what's happening to some parts. I also find that you can say a lot in a 1-minute video, right? I mean, you can have a powerful message, you can say quite a bit, and it's much easier to take in with the eyes and the ears in a 1-minute video than if you typed out that same 1-minute message in text. It's like a long paragraph. They're not going to read it. They will completely delete it. So that's a huge piece too to why I think people are more apt to take a look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's bring in some social strategies. Mario, can you speak to, kind of how you can use both Zoom and OneMob, in your social strategies?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a couple things about this. Number one, when you are engaging in prospecting, as Sati mentioned, leverage the OneMob platform to create a video. But what's interesting about the OneMob platform is that you actually get to know when someone is watching that particular video. Right. And this is one of the best strategies that we utilize as well is when we send a video message, whether it be through email, through a LinkedIn message, or a Twitter direct message, or through text messaging. Those are the platforms by which you can utilize this, and those are the digital strategies that you can leverage video with. You will get an email that says, hey, Viveka has opened up your video message and is now watching, right? And that is the trigger point for a salesperson. If you want to know about sales strategies, that is the trigger point by which you can then call Viveka. So use all the traditional methodologies, not just social, not just digital. Use the traditional methodologies to pick up the phone and say, hey, Viveka, I just want to let you know that I actually just forwarded off a video to you. Yeah. And Viveka would say, well, actually, I'm watching your video right now. And you would say, no kidding. Let's talk about, right? So you actually have that opportunity to be able to reach out and know when someone's engaging. On the Zoom side, the benefit to you utilizing that in terms of a strategy is if you wanted to develop thought leadership, you could certainly utilize Zoom to be able to develop some of your recorded videos, post into YouTube. You could also do that with some of the video content from OneMob. But you could utilize these to be able to create storyboards or blogs or writing if you so chose to go that particular route. But I think also there's some questions here about just the use of video and the length of video. Here's your best practice. People always ask me, does length matter when it comes to video? so the answer to that question is yes, it does. There is approximately, after 1 minute of a video, there's approximately a 40% drop, up to a 40% drop off in terms of viewership. So if you want to get your message across, then you're going to want to basically document the 1 to 3 points that you're going to want to include inside your video message. Okay. Then you can utilize a tool like OneMob where you has a teleprompter. Someone asked about that. So yes, there is a teleprompter capability. You can record that message. And here's the best practice. One and done. Yeah. One and done. Now, why do I say that? The reason why I say that is if you're on a prospecting call, first time call, a mid-cycle sales call, the moment you say something is the moment that it's left your mouth and you don't get a take back. So if you can take your phone just like this and you're recording a video, or you're recording a video right on your screen and you record as if that camera is John Smith. Your camera is no longer camera. Your camera is John Smith, your buyer. If you can think that mentality or have that mentality and then utilize this video content to be able to engage in multiple fashions, including direct messaging on LinkedIn, which shows a nice pretty thumbnail, including the text messaging, which shows a nice little thumbnail on your text messaging screen, then you will actually beat the competition because nobody out there is engaging in this way, and it will make you stand out. And we have more reps coming back to us with more opportunities filling pipeline because the buyer said, wow, nobody ever actually has sent me a video message. That was very unique, and it catches their attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people have I was actually going to have Sati answer this, but I think, Mario, I want you to answer it as a user. And Greg, if you have anything else you want to add in, because, Sati knows his platform. As a user, can you explain OneMob to everyone listening in who might not understand it? I think you've covered most of it, but just, in plain terms.
So yeah, let me go first. I think there's when I look at the use of video, we talk about the use of video for pre, during, and post sales cycle modeling. For the pre sales cycle, meaning you're trying to prospect, you're trying to get into someone's door. That's where I believe the OneMob platform has a super powerful opportunity to be able to help get you in, right?
Yep.
In addition to that, it's not just a video platform. You actually can record videos and say, hey, Viveka, hope you're doing fantastic. I wanted to let you know that down below, and you actually can embed documents, blogs, YouTube videos, thumbnails, proposals, which is what we do. Down below, you'll see our proposal. Go ahead and download that. Wait 30 seconds, allow them to download, and then do an actual verbal audio walkthrough of your proposal, right? And that could be done, mid-cycle, that could be done pre-cycle to get into someone's door as a prospecting video. Then, once you get that first meeting, you better make sure that as a digital sales strategy, we like to talk, this is what I like to say, Viveka, that the modern buyer requires a modern seller. And so as a modern seller, you better make sure that you're utilizing your Zoom platform so that you're turning on video for that collaboration meeting at all times, even if your prospect is not. Post-sales cycle, now you're engaging with your buyer in both fashions, with video as live meetings through Zoom, as well as through client delivery and client relationship building with OneMob. And you can send it with attachments, you can send it with documents, all those types of things. Greg, you may have a better answer since you're an end user as well.
Yeah, and I see some questions on how would you best utilize for targeted cold campaigns.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what we've found, I think you have different layers, right? If you're sending say an email to 1,000 people, right? We tend to create a video. One, we try to get target, right? Maybe we're sending to sales leaders. So we can create a little more generic. You're not saying hi Joe on the video, so it's not ideal, but to just get the power of video out there in a cold, larger send like that, maybe your quick messages around sales leaders and challenges they have and how we think we can help, kind of a video that's 1 minute. So you send that out as a blast, and then you have your team members do a little bit more sniper type attacking where they're sending, then follow up. The next email may go out that's more individual to each of those as they go through the week, hitting that list that becomes more personalized. Hey Joe, hope you got my first video. Wanted to follow back up and see if we can get some time on the calendar to talk further about how we can help some of the challenges we discussed. And then, because you get to layers, right? You may be more generic, and you can use that generic one across your entire team, frankly, because you can share templates. So all your team members can kind of send that initial, more generic blasted video over email through OneMob, and then you start to get more target as you do your follow-up to individuals with a more personalized message.
And that brings us right to number 4, which again, we've kind of covered it already. I'm going to read the question, and then I'm actually going to, again, blend in some of the questions that we have from the audience. But the official question is, one of the key focuses of sales reps is learning to remove that professional distance between them and their buyer. And that creates a stronger relationship, which we've all said here. So leveraging video can absolutely do that. Now there are some questions about well, what's the difference between Zoom and OneMob? And are we, is Zoom more like a YouTube video, and what is really the difference between them? And I just want to say, you've heard, Sati and his company use Zoom, and Greg and his company use OneMob. So they're very complementary. Go ahead and answer. Sati, you haven't had a chance to talk in a bit.
Yeah. So yeah, our platforms are definitely complementary, and what I think is important is they work not just hand in hand, but they work kind of at the various stages. So Mario kind of talked about this. So with OneMob, you will use the OneMob platform to record a video, and that can be a video that you record from your mobile phone. It could be a video that you use your webcam, or there's been some questions about one screen, which is another part of our platform, which allows you to record your screen. So you would record this video, and then you would send it through our platform, and that can be sent through email, or you can create a link that you can post on LinkedIn or share it, and then we will track it. So think of OneMob as a video message ultimately, whereas Zoom is now live video, right? We're talking live right now. So that's why it's very kind of aligned with respect to kind of when you would use it. Because once I'm talking to you, I'm going to be using Zoom because we're going to need to chat live, and we're going to need to collaborate and work together. Once I end my Zoom meeting, I might want to follow up with you, like Mario said. I might want to send you a proposal. I might want to walk you through like the next steps and the actions. Well, at that point, let's keep the dialogue still personal. Let's keep it human. So then I could use OneMob. I could record my video. I can maybe record my screen, say, hey, so we talked about these 3 things on the slide. Let me just walk you through them. And then I would take that video asset and I would send it to my customer. And then what's great is after the meeting, video is inherently shareable. So there's a good chance that I'm going to send it to Greg, and then Greg's going to be like, great, I'm one of the decision makers, but I have all these influencers, so I need to send it to them. And I'll be able to see who is watching and who is, engaging, so that when I have my next live meeting using Zoom, I'll have more insight. So think of, OneMob as kind of asynchronous video messages and Zoom as synchronous live video.
And, and to Greg, like I used to travel a lot to teach and train. And now, thanks to Zoom, on the one hand, thanks a lot, Greg, I don't get to travel as much as I used to. But on the other hand, it really just that it opens up so many more opportunities. So Greg, can you talk a little bit about how you've developed Zoom over the years?
And when you say develop, just more from a technical standpoint, or?
Well, both. What drove you forward? Don't give any secrets away, but this isn't in the questions, and I apologize if I'm like going off. But why should someone use Zoom instead of, say, GoToWebinar?
Okay. All right. Good.
You don't have to answer that because I just threw it at you.
I'll dance around it a bit. Just quickly, back to what Satya was mentioning, I think on the simplest terms, I think of OneMob as video to get the meeting, and then Zoom as video to have the meeting, right?
Nice.
That's sort of the simplest way that I also think of it as, if I need to have an interaction or discussion on something, then I use Zoom. If I want to just get a quick quality message to an audience or an individual, I think OneMob is great to it. I use it for new hires. When they sign their offer letter, I'll send a quick OneMob welcome aboard, and I've gotten great response from the new hires saying, oh my God, I got this cool video from our head of sales welcoming aboard. It's good for little things like that. Or if I have a quick message to send out to 220 sales reps, I'm not always going to pull them into a live Zoom session. I can do a quick OneMob to send out, hey guys, here's a new update, and send out a quick 1-minute video on that. So it's good for getting out those quick messages as well internally versus just the external uses over email.
Beautiful.
I don't know. Zoom has always been video-centric. Since for the 4.5 years since I started, it started as a video-centric solution. I think our founder, Eric Yuan, knew early on that to provide a very easy-used, high-quality, and video-centric solution in this market was going to be disruptive, and it has been. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we knew the impact that video was going to have until we started bringing on customers. And, they frankly were buying Zoom because it's easy to use, it's affordable, it always works. And then all of a sudden they'd come back to us and say, Greg, our usage is 3 to 4 times the number of monthly minutes that we had on our old tool. Mm-hmm. Because people are all of a sudden starting to want to have meetings. It's not that, oh God, I got to do another web meeting, it's not going to work. All those things that used to go, or still go along with it, with some of the alternatives. And it was that visual engagement. Like, people are inherently social. We want to connect, right? So you give them a conduit to do that. That always works. That's good quality. It's as close to face you can get. That starts to add power and changes your culture. So we've seen that a ton with customers. It's kind of been this kind of nice to have, oh my God, aha moment that maybe people frankly didn't realize they were going to get when they first brought us on. So it's been pretty cool to see.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I still pay for Zoom, and Greg, we can fix that if you want to. But I still pay my monthly fee. I'm like, I am not sponsored to say this. I love Zoom. I've used them all. I'm not going to name them all, but I've used them all. Zoom is absolutely the most reliable. It has the most features. The price is the best, especially for what you get. They have cool backgrounds. I don't think anyone else has those cool backgrounds without having another feature added. And there's a lot of other features, which in the Q&A, a lot of you have asked questions about both Zoom and OneMob features. So we're going to get to those in the Q&A, but I just want to say, for me, Zoom is by far the easiest both to do webinars and to do live meetings, because I do both on them, and I do coaching calls on them, and I do calls with one person, calls with many people, calls up to 100 people. Thank you for changing your limits too, by the way. So there's a lot of benefit to Zoom. And let me get back to the Q&A again. Is video a fad? Or is this something that is really going to stay and that can really help sales reps beat the competition? And Mario, I haven't let you talk for a while, so you go ahead and answer that, and then the other two can.
Yeah, so video as a fad, here's the simple answer. First off, studies have shown, Content Marketing Institute identified for some of the top 5 marketing tactics being used by the world's marketers globally. Video is one of them. Now, why are marketers using that? Why marketers are utilizing video as a way to be able to connect with their targeted audience, because they know that video actually works. Why did LinkedIn just launch LinkedIn Video and ask folks like myself and Vivica as LinkedIn collaborators and contributors to actually utilize the platform to tease that out? Because we know that video is where it's at. So other studies show, as an example, that by the end of 2018, 78% of the internet traffic that is consumed will be consumed as a result of watching video. And by the end of 2017, it's predicted that the minimum is 69%. So think about this from these stats. Is video a fad? The answer is heck no, right? We know it. Now, the question is marketers know this. Marketers are utilizing it. The rest of the world is utilizing it. You're consuming it. YouTube is the only channel that's growing 100% year over year. Now, why is it that the modern salesperson is not utilizing these platforms? Why is it that you're afraid to be able to utilize these technologies during a meeting when we know that, in fact, if we had the preference to meet face-to-face with a buyer, we would always, hands down, meet face-to-face with a buyer to shake that person's hand and to see them straight in the eye? So barring that ability, why are you afraid to turn on the video? So the guys, what I would say is it a fad? Hell no, right? Absolutely not. It is not a fad. It's here today. And my prediction is if today's sales rep does not become the modern sales rep, you'll become obsolete in 2 years. 2 years, hands down. If you're not leveraging digital platforms, social technologies, if you're not leveraging video technology, all of these things, if you're not attracting your buyer the way they want to engage with you, and you're not engaging with them the way they want to engage with you, you will become obsolete. That's as simple as that. So not a fad. The stats prove it. Marketers know it. Go to your marketing team and ask them if they're engaging with video. They're going to tell you hands down, yes, or we just haven't got to it, but we know we need to. So here you go. Use a platform like Zoom to be able to engage with virtual meetings face-to-face. Use a platform like OneMob, and then work with us like Vengreso to help teach you all the different techniques that will help you attract your buyer and target your buyer correctly.
Yeah, I would add, I think the world is kind of cyclical, right? If you think about it, before all this technology was there, people would sell like door to door, right? You would have to get in front. I used to sell this product called Cutco, and it was these knives. Yeah. And you literally have to like get in front of your buyer for 3 hours to sell them on, look, I can cut a penny. Like, this is going to work for you. And you realize that you're not selling the tool, you're selling yourself, right? You're selling trust. You're making the person feel like, look, even if the tool doesn't suck, like, at least I know Sathi and I know I can count on him to work me through any issues. Then what happens? We get phones, and phone's great because I can talk to more people across the nation. And then we get email, and that just changes everything because now I can be so fast and productive. But it's actually interesting because the more automation you see in email, the less affecting email it gets. They say now, on average, a person gets 150 emails a day, and most of them you delete. And so now what's happening with video and Zoom is that it's making people kind of go back to the basics. Like, how do I just go face to face, talk to you, show you that I'm a real person, I'm not some automated drip campaign for marketing, and that I'm really going to have your back. And when it comes to you purchasing a product, you know that you can count on us. And I think, the fact that Snapchat just went public, it's just showing you that, video is taking off in the consumer world. More likely, most of the folks on this call are probably going to turn on Netflix tonight than pick up a book and read it. So everyone likes video. It's easy to consume. And all we're trying to do is show like there's this trend that's going to happen where video is now going to be the forefront of your business communication. And I think it's one of these things where, again, you know, going back to the title of this webinar, like you're going to leave money on the table if you're not connecting with your audience in a more effective way. And the other thing I wanted to just quickly touch on that Greg talked about is employees. Video is not just for customers. It's for everyone in your organization. And employee engagement is so critical. And there was the stat that I mentioned about 59% of buyers. Well, even more importantly is 75% of your employees would rather watch a video than read your email. And this is from Forrester. So you got to think about what you're doing internally and externally. And I think video is going to help you be that trendsetter if you're not using it today.
Absolutely. You know, I'm laughing to myself. I'm thinking of all the people who said social media was a fad. They're probably the same ones saying video is a fad. You know, it morphs, it changes, and thank goodness there are tools like OneMob and Zoom to morph and change with it. But yeah, video is absolutely not going away. Greg, did you want to answer? And then I know Mario, you wanted to answer personally one of the questions too.
Yeah, I think probably everyone thinks it's likely a crazy question. It's definitely not a fad. It's here to stay. Yeah. You know, I think about, you know, if you're a sales leader out there, you know, how can you argue the ability to enable all your salespeople to have essentially face-to-face meeting? I'm not saying we're replacing face-to-face. It always becomes a challenge, but it's really darn close. It's very convenient for the prospect to join now and be on video. How could you not enable a team to have as many face-to-face meetings anytime, anywhere, and never leave the office, right? It creates better engagement. It's a much more efficient sales type process and sales team makeup that it's really hard to argue, and just the connections you can make. So yeah, I think it's here to stay. And yeah, you got to get on board. If your competition's not doing it, they're going to be doing it soon. So you know, you definitely want to be ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. And, you know, Satya, you said 150 emails. I'm like, oh, that's all. So there's a really good question from Doug Jones who said, how about spam filters? Do video get caught when sending video through email? So Mario, you wanted to answer this one.
Yeah, I'll take that one. And the answer is a video can get caught, yes, in spam filters just as much as you sending a cold prospecting email to a prospect through email. So here's the reality. One of the best practices, I'm going to take this one, write this one down. Feel free to connect me on LinkedIn, but this is a best practice. You're going to take the tool OneMob as an example. You're going to record a video that is a welcome video, and every single time that you actually book a meeting with a prospect or a buyer or with a client, you are going to reach out to them on LinkedIn and you're going to connect with them with a personalized connection message. And that message is going to say, hey, Satya, I'm looking forward to having our meeting on whatever date it might be so that you have a face to the name. I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn. Boom. Now, as soon as you get the alert that they've accepted your connection request, you are actually going to send them your live recorded, your recorded video, through OneMob, through LinkedIn as a link, and it will show up as a video thumbnail. And what you're going to do is you're going to send that through them, and you're going to get all the analytics. So in case that it gets stuck inside of the email message, then you actually are getting it through LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is whitelisted across everybody's spam filter. So you'll never get caught there. And it actually goes into your prospect's email as a LinkedIn message, and they'll be able to open it directly there. So that's your workaround for leveraging LinkedIn with invitations, and also certainly through LinkedIn messaging as well.
Yeah, that's a great little hack. And we were getting some good strategies here as well. So I'm sure you all know about Zoom, but if you have not checked it out yet, zoom.us for the best video collaboration tool on the market, onemob.com for the best enterprise video messaging application on the market, and then let's not leave Mari out and myself out with Vengreso.com for digital and social video training, etiquette, and all things digital transformation. We have have a few more minutes here. If you're comfortable, guys, I would like to just throw these questions out to you. And that was very Canadian of me, out. And I think that Raul's been in the background answering the technical questions about Zoom and possibly OneMob as well. So let's see here. There was a question about, oh, did it go? No, it's back. Why does the computer screensaver appear when using Zoom and not other platforms?
That's a great question. I'm actually not, frankly, I'm not familiar. I'll need to dig into that. We can get back to Thomas offline on that question.
Okay, sounds good. Let's see. And oh, Nigel, Nigel asks, when will video be rolled out worldwide on LinkedIn? Well, soon. So right now, like 508 people have it, and I think they're just working out the bugs and everything. Publisher took a long time to roll out to everyone, but there are other features that have come more quickly. So we're hoping by the end of by the end of summer, everyone will have it, but it's LinkedIn, so we'll see. Hopefully soon. Let's see. There were some other questions. I'm just going to kind of go through them here. I think Raul's actually answered most of them already. But if there's something else here, let me see. Alice liked your money background. And she likes how important the background is, but also I like how important money is. I mean, that was, we don't want to leave it on the table. We were kind of laughing about that in the pre. Oh, another cool, yeah, there we go. Another cool thing with Zoom is you've got like a practice room. Can you talk about that a little bit, Greg?
Yeah, I know Raul might still be on, but he runs our weekly, daily webinars. Maybe Raul, you want to kind of talk through the value it brings to you as you kind of host.
Yeah, the practice session is basically a feature within the webinar platform. So usually in our webinars, or at least the ones I host, I usually go live right away. Just kind of have my intro slide, greet people on video and audio. But I wanted to make sure, let's make sure we're all on the same page first, even though we had our little practice run. So activated the practice session. We're basically in it as panelists through the webinar platform and attendees. They get a prompt, just mention that we're not yet basically broadcast, we're not live. But once you go live, then you're opening the doors of venue, everyone's coming in. So it's just kind of nice to make sure everyone's in, take a look at everyone's video, their audio, and then from there, just broadcast live. So it's almost like you're putting people in a kind of a waiting room, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
You're in the green room, I guess.
You're in the green room, the green room. I love that. There's a question about teleprompters earlier, and Raul, I know you answered it already, but OneMob does. I mean, that's a new feature that you guys have, Sati, right? Is the teleprompter kind of feature?
Yeah, and it goes back to just that first question, like, how do I get my reps comfortable? And, I think you think about when your reps first started recording their voicemails, they probably wrote a script and you had them practice it until they got comfortable. So with video, we do something similar where you can actually create a teleprompter, just like a news anchor. And what will be great is when the rep starts to record their video, they just read this teleprompter. The goal is not to have them read it, but for them to just get comfortable with the talking points. And then over time, they'll just be able to kind of, follow Mario's approach, which is one and done.
Yeah.
The other question I saw that I think is really important is around English. So, I think video is one of these things that it transcends languages, it transcends borders. I know Zoom and as well as OneMob as well, we have clients all over the globe. And I think what's so great about video is you don't need to worry about your language. If anything, especially like in Asia where, sometimes culture is even more important in terms of how you connect with your buyers. Video is great because you can use the platform, you can speak your native language, and you can really connect with your audience. And so, video is one of those things where you don't need to worry about things getting lost in translation or Google Translate messing something up in your email, because they'll be able to hear you authentically speak your native tongue, and it really connects. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, Zoom and OneMob will allow you to really leverage your language in video. So I think that's a great question.
Yeah, no, that really was. Thank you. Because we are international. I mean, we've got a lot of people from all over the world on this call today. So thank you. Thank you for the people who were here. We've put some links in the chat box. So make sure to check those chat box links. Zoom doesn't yet have a teleprompter, but if you've got an iPad, there's a free teleprompter app for in iTunes. So that's something to consider as well. Final words from you all.
Yeah, I would do really quick on that. I mean, frankly, even good old-fashioned yellow sticky notes right next to your camera, I use it all the time. And you know, you can't write out all the words, but at least keywords that just remind you of what you want to talk through can be really useful for your team. So even something as kind of basic as that can help. But no, I think, Viveka, thank you again for hosting. Sati, Mario, really appreciate the time with you guys. And just thank everyone for joining. I know everyone's busy, and hopefully this was valuable. Hopefully you see the light to where video can really you know, help with your engagements, just drive greater interactions. We're all humans here. We want to see each other. So let's just be seen, be heard, and best of luck to everyone.
Sati, any final words?
Yeah, I mean, Greg really nailed it. I think this is just one of these things where we are obviously huge fans and evangelists of video, and we really want to help people understand that this is not just about leaving money on the table. This is about helping you connect with your customers, with your prospects, with your employees in a more human, in a more engaging, in a more personal way. It's this what creates trust, and it's through trust that's what creates, you know, better bonds, both externally and internally. So I encourage all of you to leverage Zoom, take advantage of OneMob, try them out. We're here to help. And, you know, I think through all of us using this, this is what's the future is going to become. And we just want to help make sure everyone can really leverage this technology, you know, now versus later.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Mario, final word.
Final words. I just got 2 stats for y'all, and that is, if you're wondering whether or not you should be leveraging video, think about this. 75% of business executives watch work-related videos at least weekly. 54% of senior executives share work-related videos with colleagues at least weekly. How we started my company that was merged just 4 weeks ago with Vengreso, how we started that M3 Junior Growth Strategies that was merged now with Vengreso, was as a direct result of a senior executive over worldwide sales operations for a Fortune 100 receiving my video, and it was forwarded 14 times until it got to the vice president of worldwide sales operations, and that's what started my company. So any case, is it here? Should you use it? Yes, absolutely. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, and I just want to say it has been an honor to work with the 4 of you, because Raul is here too. How cool is this? Like, we're talking principals in these companies, and they're just here chatting with us. So I hope you found this as dynamic as I did. You know, forget this death by PowerPoint. This was live. It was interactive. I'm seeing by the comments here that people are enjoying this. I know we have to wrap up because Mario and I actually have a Zoom meeting that people are waiting for us on. If you have any other questions, comments, of course, please feel free to put them in the chat or in the Q&A. Please feel free to reach out to any of us. I don't know, Raul, if you want to put your contact information in there for Zoom and Sati.
We'll make sure to send out a follow-up email. We'll include everyone's contact information along with the link to the recording and then just contact info in general. So we'll make sure to send that out. So be on the lookout for that, folks.
Awesome sauce. Anything you want to do as we're wrapping this up?
No, just good job. That was awesome. No death by PowerPoint, like I said. I mean, you know, we're all human, like Greg said, so it's nice to see and hear everyone. So it's nice to put a face behind a name, right?
Awesome.
Even though my name says Zoom Webinars, but it's Raul. Anyway.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what we've been talking about.
Well, thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everyone.